You don't really need to sync.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of the Fifth Down Podcast. This is your host, Brian. I am again riding solo with Jackson. Jackson, go ahead and say hi.
Hey guys, how's it going? Good to see you back again. We're back with just Brian and I this week. Our buddies are traveling or working or both. It's also a little unusual today. We're actually filming at during the daytime. Just Christmas into New Year's, a little bit of a weird week. I moved, so my office is a little different, as you might notice. But we got the Wi-Fi figured out. Shout out CenturyLink, and we're ready to go. Brian, how are we starting off today's episode?
Well,
Just
we're
for
just going to
week 16 into 17, right?
Yes,
So
yes. So we're just going to start out with some games that we thought were interesting. I'll ask Jackson the game he thought was interesting. He'll ask me back, and then we're going to get into the power rankings as normal and get into the week
hey, we
seven.
can't forget about the lightning round.
Oh yeah, and of course the light. I mean, that
Yeah.
goes in together. Yes, of course, of course. And then the week 17 preview.
hmm
So I'll start out with you, Jackson. What's a game you want to cover?
Okay, so let me look here because there were a couple that I thought were interesting. Um, as we talked about earlier before the show started, we're getting to that point in the season where like teams like the Broncos and the Rams and the Falcons are eliminated. I think Falcons happened this weekend. That loss sealed the deal for them. So you're really like some of these games didn't matter too much. Some did. And then some were just like good team versus bad team, blowout style. So um, honestly, I'll talk about the Saints a little bit as my first thing to talk about. Um, we are showing glimpses of a good team here. Um, they're getting Kamara's getting the ball a little bit more, which has helped us quite a bit. Um, honestly, like we've had quite a few injuries on our team. Really, just I mean, I don't know. Taysom Hill got in, scored, which was pretty dope. I think when we get Taysom Hill in the mix and have him score, our games go a lot better. Splitting the ball between Taysom Hill, Alvin Kamara at the quarterback position. Andy Dalton's getting it done. Don't know how long term he'll be, but the main thing I want to talk about today is that the Saints won, beat the Browns, suck it, Deshaun. Um, but if the Saints win out and the Buccaneers lose out, we're getting into the crazy well, what if this and this and this? Saints win two more games, Buccaneers lose two more games. Saints are in, baby. Saints win the NFC South and they lock up a playoff spot. So
Like the
that's what I'll
Panthers
be
have to lose
cheering
a game
for.
too,
What'd you
wouldn't they?
say?
Wouldn't the Panthers have to lose a game too?
No, um, just the Buccaneers because I think we break the tiebreaker with. I think no, we wouldn't because I think do we already beat the Panthers this season? The Panthers are in our last game of the season. So like they would lose by us winning that game.
Okay.
So we
Oh yeah,
split
yeah,
it
yeah.
there.
Yeah.
So um coming up for us, a little bit of tough matchup next week. I wish Connor was here because we could talk about it, but Saints are going to go on and play the Eagles. I believe that is in Philadelphia, which makes it even harder for us because we are a dome team. We don't always play in the cold, but I think we can step up and do it. And then following, we play the Panthers. Um, I'm going to look up the Buccaneers schedule here real quick. Buccaneers host the Panthers on New Year's Day and then play the Falcons on January 8th. So, in division matchup for them. Those could go either way, but I'm really hoping that they lose. So, that's probably my notable game for the week. For me, I'm going to talk about the Saints just to talk about them. But my team is like it's that dumpster race meme where the two dumpsters are racing down the hill in the rain. That's us and the Buccaneers and the Panthers. Somebody's got to win. Why not us? So, what about you, Brian? What do you think was interesting this week, or what game stood out to you?
First of all, I'm looking up to see the Saints played the Panthers so long ago.
Yeah, I think it was
So
like opening week.
I'm trying to see who won that game real quick.
CMC still played for the Panthers at that point, so that
Uh,
tells you how long ago it was.
I think it was week 3.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the Panthers beat the Saints earlier.
Yep.
Okay.
But if we beat them, I think we still either have a better record or we win the tiebreaker by points. I don't know how that works.
Yeah, some random tiebreaker.
NFL math stuff. So,
but I wanted to talk about Eagles Cowboys because that was actually a pretty interesting game. Really high scoring, even though two really good defenses. So that was pretty interesting. It was a return of Gardner Minshew, everybody's favorite backup quarterback, along with everybody's favorite roommate. Sometimes. But yeah, it was just really high scoring. The Cowboys won, but like they should have won by more, honestly. Like the Eagles had a backup quarterback.
You're disappointed with the Cowboys, is what you're saying.
Yes, sir. Aren't we all though?
He's like an old Brock Purdy. He's like
Hey.
Brock Purdy feels the 80s.
Gardner Minshew is pretty cool, though. I'm a fan.
I feel like that could be respectful.
We like Gardner Minshew.
I like Brock Purdy.
Gardner Minshew, come on the podcast.
He's a goat.
Yes.
I need to look at how he like grows in his mustache. Because that shit's goated.
When there was that battle for starting quarterback in Jacksonville, Gardner Minshew didn't poop for like 2 weeks because he never the number two wasn't going to be on his agenda.
That was great. We love that.
Okay, so Gardner came.
I do have notes from our other podcast mate, Connor. Texted me some notes about this game because he wanted to be here, but he couldn't. He's currently in Philadelphia.
I bet Southwest fucked him over. Shut out Southwest. You suck.
Yeah, it'd be like
anyway.
But
come on the podcast though, Southwest. Go ahead. Sorry.
He says, "Quote: Cowboys are hot dog ass. Those bums almost got Minshew maniac. Hail to the king, Gardner Minshew, who will lock up 1 seed." Unquote.
Okay. I feel like it's really hard to call the team that beat you hot dog ass. Is that what he said?
Hot dog ass, yes.
So, like, I don't know. That sounds like a sore ass Philadelphia fan who just like really thought they were gonna. I mean, let's be real here. Miles Sanders had a key fumble in that game that kind of turned the tide for the Cowboys. I think if that hadn't happened, the Eagles would have won. That said, Eagles defense was great in that game, despite a Cowboys offense that's electric and has the two-headed beast of Tony Pollard and Zeke. So, in addition to somebody like CeeDee Lamb, who I don't know if you saw that catch where he was in the end zone and caught it, but then turned around to his left instead of going right. Nuts. So couldn't even see the defender, knew where he was. But yeah, well, I'm glad you had thoughts on it, Connor. That really brought a lot of value today.
Yeah, I mean the Eagles turned the ball over like 4 times, so like
yeah,
I don't know. If they just wouldn't have done that, it might have been a different game.
Okay, so here's a question for you.
What's up?
So next week, Eagles host the Saints.
Mm-hmm.
Saints are bad. We know that. Bottom 16 team of the league. Do the Eagles play Gardner? And like, because Jalen Hurts could come back, is what I've been hearing. So do they play Gardner to give Jalen Hurts potentially another 3 weeks if they win? So do they take the gamble on their defense and see CJ DJ coming back to home turf? Or not coming back, hosting the Saints for a revenge game, even though like he got traded to a better team. So like, you know, so there's that. But do they keep?
It's still a revenge game.
Yeah, if I'm CJ DJ and I went from the Saints to the Eagles and the Eagles are number 1 seed and the Saints are fighting to get into the playoffs, like I'm not mad about it, you know. Like I guess you could be like, oh, I got traded, like they didn't like me, but in reality, they did him a big fucking favor. But anyway, so do you as Nick Sirianni, do you start Jalen Hurts to try to lock up the 1 seed, or do you put your faith in Gardner to give Jalen Hurts as much rest and recovery as possible to, you know, gamble on it?
I 1,000,000% start Gardner Minshew this week. No questions asked. This is no slight on Jalen Hurts at all. He's had a great season. But that team is more about the collective talent on that team. We saw this past week that Gardner Minshew put up 34 points with this offense. And like, I'm sorry, it's like the Saints, but like the Saints aren't putting up 34 points in a game. So if Eagles put up 30 points again, they'll win. I can see them easily doing that against the Saints. Rest Jalen Hurts the rest of the regular season, bring him back for the playoffs. I think it's pretty easy.
I agree with you. Not only as a biased fan who sees that the Eagles are beatable with Gardner, but also because I think it's just a smarter move. Like if I'm stepping away from myself as a Saints fan and thinking with my head and not my heart, like this should be a no-brainer. Like Eagles win. Like the Eagles defense will shred the Saints offense.
Yes.
So for us scoring only 17 against the Browns, whose defense is good, but not great, like
Mhm.
I think that we're gonna put up pathetic numbers against the Eagles. That said, this is one of those matchups where I was listening to the New Heights podcast this week, and the Kelsey brothers called it a I forget what kind of game it is, but it's essentially a game that you don't prepare for because you don't care about it because there's no like you're not really interested in it. I mean, maybe they do because if they win, they get the 1 seed, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So either way, I don't know. So I wanted to see what you think. I want to hear what Connor thinks. We'll see after this week whether what happens and what the real Nick Sirianni actually chooses to do. Um, okay, so moving on. Brian, was there any other game that happened this week that you want to talk about?
I just wanted to close it out with Packers Dolphins.
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was a pretty interesting game on a couple of fronts. I've been kind of behind this whole Packers bandwagon of they can make the playoffs. Like it's looking pretty good, and honestly, the past couple weeks has looked pretty good. Like they needed the teams they needed to lose have lost. They've won a couple games. So really, if they lose, the Packers need to lose out or win out, and
Yep.
have the Commanders lose one of two games. And I think that's pretty easy. Well, not pretty easy, but it's pretty doable to do. The Packers have to beat the Vikings and the Lions, which is they're very winnable games. And in this game showed why those next two games will be winnable. The Packers offense is just looking back to what they should have been. Their defense is still a little iffy. They still have a couple of injuries, but their defense is still looking a little iffy, but their offense is looking really good. And then obviously on the Dolphins side, it came out that Tua got another concussion. And obviously that's going to be a big talking point. And I don't want to talk about it that much because it honestly pisses me off. It's
Yeah.
just stupid. It's stupid that they're putting this man's life on the line for no reason, it feels like. And the NFLPA is doing another investigation of the Dolphins. Says all you need to know about that franchise, in my opinion.
I want to talk about it, but we won't. But I will say, I think that there's an extent to which, like, us as grown men have the ability to say, I am going to make a career decision that puts my physical health aside on the
Yeah.
back burner to do something. If I mean, like, look, like, and you can really dive into some stuff here, but like, everybody makes choices. Like, you make choices. Some people make choices every day. Like you're choosing X versus Y, and maybe Y is better for your body and healthier for body, but X is, beneficial in this way or that way. And so I don't know. I interpret it as like I definitely think the Dolphins need more responsibility taking care of their players, but I also think like it's Tua choosing to be out there and choosing to play through. Aaron Rodgers talked about it yesterday on the Pat McAfee show. Like competitive greatness is what he calls it. Like choosing to put your body on the line because you know that you being in the game is the best thing for your team at the time. So, and that said, Teddy B's really good, so I think they're going to be fine. But definitely like prayers up for Tua. Hope his brain's okay. Maybe rest out this season and come back next season.
Yeah,
So
I totally get that point. The one thing I'll say about like being like me being out there is like helping my team. In this sense, it was kind of the opposite because after he got that concussion, he threw 3 picks.
yeah, you're
So
right. Yeah,
it's a little different.
in
But
this situation, it didn't pan out. Yeah.
I mean, I understand Tua wanting to be out there. Obviously, all the athletes want to play.
Yeah.
Like,
Well, you played, like like if
yeah,
you were
yeah,
hurt, you ever get injured when you're playing high school ball?
yeah, but like I never. I shouldn't be saying the things I'm saying. Is like every time I got hurt, I just played through it.
See, hey,
I
I'm
never
just
had a
saying, man.
diagnosis because I never said it.
By the way, guys, we don't talk about it much. We don't really get to introduce Brian because he's the host. But like, if I were to, it'd be Nebraska State high school football champion, so state champion Brian Denby.
Two times.
So two-time champion. So, like that said, you're playing through injuries, man. Like if your team
Yeah.
needs you, you play him. So,
For sure.
I think that wraps up the big games of the weekend. Another big game that I'll touch on for a second. The Chargers clinched. Nobody thought they could prior to this. I think there was a 30% estimated chance that they were going to clinch, and they did. They won a game when they needed to, and I don't know. I watched a lot of that game. Justin Herbert looks very good. Colts are also bad. So
The Colts are so bad. It's what I was watching that game. I had underdog picks on it. Only reason I was watching that game, it was so bad. Oh my god.
there was a nice throw that Justin Herbert made though. That they had a little lateral kind of thing going on. And then he threw the ball down the field. It went
Yeah, I saw that.
like inches away from the defender's hands. Just
I stopped watching it like the fourth quarter though.
it was beautiful. Cool. Well, that wraps up our big games of the weekend. This moves us into the lightning round.
Lightning round.
Do-do-do-do-do-do-do.
Lightning round. All right. Jaguars, Jets. The Jags are number one in the AFC South. Who would have thought it? Nobody. I thought this division was for the Titans for the taking, and then they decided to be ass. The Jets are also ass. Zach Wilson, I think, got benched for the rest of the season now because Mike White's back. Zach Wilson is interesting. He might be a bust. He is a
More
bust.
time to hunt local MILFs, man. He wants it.
That's true, though. The Jags
And,
scored 19 unanswered on the Jets after the Jets went up 3-0. So, not very good.
Yeah, Trevor Lawrence looks good.
Trevor Lawrence has looked really good the past month. Bills Bears. This game was close in like the first half, and then the Bills are like, "Yeah, let's stop fucking around."
Let's flip the switch.
Scored a hell of points all in the same time. Justin Fields makes crazy runs, but like the Bears are still Bears.
He ain't got no hope, man.
Justin Fields needs a new home probably, but we can visit that at a later time.
Yeah.
All right, next up, what do we have? Ravens Falcons.
Ravens Falcons. This game was. I honestly didn't really watch this.
Did
game.
not watch. Not watch. Ever since Lamar's like, is Lamar in? He's out, right?
He's still out. Yeah. Next week, who knows?
I don't know what's going on with Lamar, but like I haven't seen anything, so I just haven't been watching the Ravens. I don't even know who plays quarterback for the Ravens right now.
It's Tyler Huntley. Snoop Huntley.
Oh, that's right. That's right. Yeah, he's good.
He's all right.
Okay, yeah. Panthers, Lions, two teams that were bad at the beginning of the season that have turned it around.
Yeah, this
Panthers get rid of CMC and then get better? Question mark.
Maybe. Deontay Foreman, Texas legend, has been
very good at football. They've really started to use him, and it's worked out for him.
The Lions defense is still really bad when it comes to the run. There might be the worst run defense in the league, honestly.
Yep. Everybody knows that, though. Everybody runs against the Lions.
Been playing pretty well too, so that's interesting for the Panthers. The Panthers could win that division.
They
I don't want it to happen, but
I still have a shot.
NFC South to win that division. No team from the NFC South should be in the playoffs.
I think if the Panthers beat the Buccaneers, they might make it. So, which we'll find out this Sunday. Chiefs Seahawks, saw this one coming. Patrick Mahomes, I know you want to talk about this, but I'll say, Patrick Mahomes looks really good. He will probably get the MVP. Yeah. So,
I mean, this game was pretty boring too. If I wasn't a Chiefs fan, I probably wouldn't have watched it. It was really 24-3, and the Seahawks scored a garbage time touchdown. So the Chiefs defense looked really good. All I gotta say is Patrick Mahomes, Kadarius Toney, Jerick McKinnon. That's really all there is to know.
Yep, they're looking ahead to the playoffs. They have the 1 seed secured yet or no?
Nope, the Bills have the 1 seed right now.
Oh, okay. Oh, right, because they won.
The Chiefs will get the 1 seed if they win out and the Bills lose 1 of 2 games. That's how the Chiefs get the 1 seed.
Gotcha. All right, here's another one I didn't watch. Texans Titans. Texans who have no reason to win other than to lose a draft pick spot.
I called this game. I said the Texans played really good against the Cowboys and the Chiefs. They're playing the Titans. They were going to win it. I called it. They won it.
What's the motivation here? Like, if you're in that locker room, other than like winning the game and not being completely defeated, strategically, wouldn't it make better sense to have the first pick?
Yeah, I mean, but no player wants to tank. It's always like a coach / front office thing. No player wants to tank.
Right. I guess if you're a player, you're trying to showcase your skills, trying to secure the next job.
Yeah, for sure. So playing a team with nothing to lose is pretty scary, honestly. That's why they put up a fight against the Cowboys and the Chiefs, because both those teams overlooked them and they're playing with nothing to lose.
Yeah.
So
They do have no. They don't. Yep.
even if they win a couple games, they'll probably still get that first pick anyways.
Here's a team with a lot to lose, but they this game was close, but it wasn't. It still felt dominant. Bengals Pats.
Yeah.
If anything was revealed here, it's that fucking Mac Jones is a little bit of a dirty player, and that came out
Yeah.
this weekend,
Yeah,
and that's
there's a
been a little
compilation video.
weird.
A 2-year career and there's already a compilation video of 4 incidences. That's bad.
Yep. Otherwise, Joe
This,
Burrow looks really good too.
this was
I
really
would.
just a game by halves. Like
I'm.
the Bengals had the first half and the Patriots had the second half.
You ever like stop and you're like excited to be alive in the time that you are? You're like, thank God I'm alive now.
Oh, for
Like
sure.
this era in football is going to be so good over the next 5 years because you're
Yeah.
going to have Josh Allen, Joe Burrow, Lamar Jackson, Patrick Mahomes, to like
Justin
you have
Herbert.
Justin Herbert. You have so many good quarterbacks.
Even Justin Fields, I feel like is super fun to watch.
Justin Fields, who has suddenly like unlocked some shit. Trevor Lawrence, who is starting to look good.
Yep.
Like this is the next we're watching the next generation of guys, and it's so exciting, and all of them are good in their own way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And most of them are in the AFC for some reason.
Yeah, thank fuck I'm in the NFC, man. All right. Vikings Giants. This was a lot closer than we thought also. Justin Jefferson is also fighting for the MVP a little bit.
Maybe.
I like this is where you get into the debate of who's, offensive player of the year, Justin Jefferson, MVP, Patrick Mahomes. But yeah. Otherwise, Vikings still look good. Kirk Cousins is 11-0 with 1-score games.
It's crazy.
So
we're living in the Matrix.
We are.
But Greg Joseph's 61-yard field goal to win it, very cool.
Good. Big deal.
Yeah, I mean, this is a lot closer than people thought, but the Vikings just might not be as good as their record says. Actually, interesting enough, we were talking about the Packers earlier. The Packers actually opened as 3-point favorites against the Vikings next week, which is wild.
I mean, Packers are unpredictable right now. They've kind of unlocked a new gear, and whatever it is, it's working. They beat some bad teams, and then they beat the Dolphins, and we got to kind of believe them now.
Yes, sir.
But Niners lead us to talk about we talked about the Packers already.
Yeah, Niners Commanders is next. Just kind of just an old school ass whooping, if we're being honest.
I would be very scared if I have to play. If the Saints have to, whoever's got to play the Niners in the first round should be afraid. I have seen like last year, Niners had Jimmy G. Their team wasn't that different other than they didn't have as dominant a run game as they do now with CMC. So they added CMC. They have like Brock Purdy's doing the job. And like Nick Bosa, really good.
Defensive player of the year.
So like, I don't know, man. Niners have quite the defense that really shuts down teams, and it kind of disrupts their game completely.
Yeah,
so
it's scary.
Going to be a good team to watch. I would love to see Niners Eagles or something like that, or Niners Cowboys. Could be a lot of fun.
On the Commanders side, they benched.
I didn't talk about the Commanders at all because I don't give a shit.
I mean, they benched Taylor Heineke, so Carson Wentz is going to be back. That's all. That's really noteworthy.
It feels like a bad move to me. I know Carson Wentz is Carson Wentz, but like, come on, man. Let Heineke have some seasons. Give him some time.
They're both pretty bad.
Yeah, they are. Steelers Raiders. Didn't fucking watch this one.
Oh. The only thing I know is that the Raiders were winning most of the game, and then the Steelers came down and won the game with a touchdown at the end. So I really know. Mike Tomlin, if he wins out, he'll have another winning season. He still has never had a losing season in his life. If he pulls a winning season out of this terrible team, it's going to be incredible. That's all.
Buy a lottery ticket, Mike Tomlin. You're a lucky guy. It's not luck. He's very talented.
He's amazing.
Shout out Coach Tomlin.
Speaking of amazing or not amazing, the Broncos played the Rams, and the Rams dropped 51 points on the Broncos. They scored on every single possession except for the last possession where they kneeled down.
I think we'll see how this goes because you have like the shock factor of Baker, but you have one of the youngest like you've Sean McVay, like young Andy Reid, like offensive genius, has a coaching tree of guys who are already successful.
Yeah.
So Matt Stafford retires in a couple years. Put Baker on the bench. Let him simmer. Let him mature a little bit. Kind of clean his shit up. Like if I'm Baker, I'm like, I finally have a coach who I like, who believes in me. I would stay here, take a pay cut, be healthy for a couple years, have a kid, enjoy time in LA. And then Stafford's not playing forever. So like, and they don't have draft picks, so they can't fucking draft a quarterback. So he knows he's not getting drafted to replace him. So like, in my mind, this was like a new home for Baker in a couple years. I don't know. What do you think?
The only issue is that, and this might have just been a rumor, but it was like rumored around that like Sean McVay could retire, which is kind of interesting.
Oh,
I don't know where that came from, but I kind of heard it. I don't think I'm putting anything into it, but that's just something that I heard.
dude loves football
But
way too much. He gave
but
up
I
like millions of dollars in Amazon to coach the Rams again. No way.
but I do agree that this is the best spot for Baker pretty easily. They just need to get their weapons in order, but that defense is still good.
Hey, guess who decided to show up to play? Cam Akers, who we
Yeah,
didn't know existed in the beginning of the season,
yeah,
and
he's back.
now looks very good.
Yeah, 3 touchdowns, over 100 yards.
Yep, big deal. And Higby still looking good for the
Yeah,
Rams.
that's their
Um,
big weapon right now.
but I mean, hey, off season, Cooper Cup comes back,
Yeah,
Stafford comes back. We'll see what they do. Um, but right now, if I'm Baker, I'd any contract I can get to stay on their roster and just hang out and learn from Stafford and McVay, I'm doing because he's not getting a starting job again for a while. I don't think.
yeah.
So this is the start of his backup career.
And on the Broncos side, I have more notes from our boy Connor.
Oh God, what do you say? Hot dog water again or something like that?
No, he says, quote, "Hail to Rich Bisaccia, the future Broncos head coach," unquote.
Yep. Rich Bisaccia is good.
Now that Nathaniel Hackett is out of the door,
Yeah, that was weird, but also
it was too
eh,
late. They fired him too late.
we could talk about that for a long time, but
Yeah.
I'm a firm believer that Hackett isn't the problem.
I would
So
like to talk about that when Connor gets back next
I don't think Russ is fixable.
week. Oh God, 3 picks. It was not pretty for him.
He has no buy-in from his team. No.
But he now has as many touchdowns as he has bathrooms in his house. That's
Good.
an accomplishment. Good for that. Good for him.
That is not what he wanted to cook, as Patrick Starr said best.
Patrick Starr, come on the podcast. We'd love you here.
Speaking of people whose team does buy into them, the Buccaneers beat the Cardinals just barely on Sunday night.
This shit happens every fucking week. Oh man. It's Tom Brady plays the same game every week.
If you're on Tom Brady's team, no matter what the score is at the end of the game, if you have a couple minutes left, you're like, oh yeah, he's gonna win this for us. So
It's insane. The Cardinals also just imploded in this game. They're up by 10 points.
they have nothing to play for anymore, though. They're eliminated. So like,
but Trace McSorley was trying to do something.
yeah, that's true. Hey, shout out JJ Watt. Nice career, man. Way to go. Sad to see you go.
Also, I've been seeing stuff on Twitter. Stop it. He is a first ballot Hall of Famer.
Who's saying not?
People are saying he's not a Hall of Famer at all. He's a first ballot Hall of Famer.
You win multiple Defensive Player of the Year, Walter Payton Man of the Year. How dominant he was back then, scoring touchdowns and the amount of sacks he got. Like,
it would just
stop
have
it right there.
Bias. Don't trick yourself. He's a first ballot Hall of Famer.
Like, there's a couple defensive players that I would put up there with Aaron Donald. This man won Defensive Player of the Year over Aaron Donald, which tells you something for the amount of time. Like, these two have been back and forth every year.
If JJ Watt was healthy, he'd be one of the best defensive players of all time.
Oh, I agree.
Just injuries destroyed him.
Yeah. I think that wraps up our week there. Good lightning round. Brian, what's next for us?
Hey, you know what's next? It's the weekly power rankings, baby. Let's get into it. Let's just
Brian's big ballers.
This power rankings is gonna go by pretty quick because a lot of teams have been eliminated. So we're just gonna speed through those teams. The tier 32 to 25, pretty simply, the mathematically eliminated teams. So honestly, they're all eliminated. So like, I guess put them wherever you want, but like I ranked them. So I'm just gonna go through. 32 is the Colts. They look really fucking bad. 31 is the Bears. 30 is the Broncos. I'm sorry, Connor. 29 is the Arizona Cardinals. And then 28, I moved them up a lot, is the Texans. They got to win. They've looked pretty good. 27 is the Rams. 26 is the Falcons. And 25 is the Browns. Boom. All eliminated. We don't care about those teams. Next tier, 24 to 22, a little three-team tier. This is the not eliminated, if I can talk, not eliminated, ... yet. These are 3 teams who aren't eliminated yet, but I feel like next week they'll probably be eliminated. That starts with number 24, the Las Vegas Raiders. I feel like they're going to be eliminated soon. Number 23 is a team the Raiders played, the Steelers. I would love to see them win out and get Mike Tomlin a winning season, but I don't think it's going to happen. And then number 22 is the Saints. I'm sorry, Jackson. They moved up a lot, but I feel like they're going to be eliminated pretty soon. Next,
I'm okay with that.
Tier 21 to 14. This is the tier called in the mix for the playoffs, but they have a low upside. So these are the teams that are like kind of on the outside looking in, but all these teams have a chance to get into the playoffs. But if they get into the playoffs, they have a low upside for the future of their team. Number 21 starts out with the Seattle Seahawks. Unless Geno is playing at an MVP level, their team just isn't very good. Number 20 is the Tennessee Titans. They've been nosediving. They don't have Ryan Tannehill anymore. They probably won't make the playoffs, and even if they do, Malik Willis is not doing shit for them. Number 19 is the New England Patriots. They've had a low upside for years. They're going to be a team led by Bill Belichick that somehow makes the playoffs, but they have a low upside. They won't do anything to make it. Number 18 is the Carolina Panthers, a team who has surprised the past couple weeks. But Sam Darnold's their quarterback. Their running game is good, but it's not great. Low upside. Number 17 is the definition of a low upside team. It's the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. It's just Tom Brady willing them to a victory. But if that's not happening, they're a bad team. Number 16 is the Washington Commanders. Pretty self-explanatory for them. Quarterback carousel, great defense, but that quarterback position makes them have a low upside. If they happen to make the playoffs, don't think they will, but if they do, they'll have a low upside. Number 15 is a team who's more likely to make the playoffs, but they're pretty similar to the Commanders. It's the New Jersey Giants. They have low upside. Daniel Jones is their quarterback. He's not going to take them anywhere, for being honest. And then number 14, kind of the same as these past 2 teams. The other New Jersey team, the Jets. Mike White's their quarterback. I mean, what else do you want me to say about them? They're the exact same team as the Giants, for being honest. They play in the same stadium. They're the same team. They should just merge at this point. The New Jersey Jedians. You heard it here first. Next tier, teams 13 through 9. These are the higher upside playoff teams that could surprise if they make it into the playoffs. That starts with number 13, the Green Bay Packers. If they make it in, they could definitely surprise some people. They have a high upside with that offense. That offense could be very explosive if everything is going right. Number 12 is the Detroit Lions. They moved down a little bit, but their collective talent gives them a high upside. And Jared Goff is playing some pretty good football, if I'm being honest. I hate to admit it, but he is. Number 11, past couple weeks, they've had very high upside. The Jacksonville Jaguars, pretty simple. Trevor Lawrence is playing really, really good football. He could surprise teams just by himself, being honest. Number 10 is the Miami Dolphins. This took a little bit of a hit. I made these power rankings before the news with Tua came out. That was their higher upside. I still think playmaking wise with Tyreek and Jalen Waddle, they still have a high upside, no matter who's at quarterback. And Raheem Mostert is fast. So if he gets through a hole, he can take a run for 80 yards. So just based on their playmakers, they have a high upside. Number 9 is rounding out this tier is the Baltimore Ravens. Might be a bit of a surprise, but if Lamar's back for the playoffs, no matter what they look like, Lamar Jackson is the definition of high upside. He can take over a game by himself in the playoffs. So if they have him back, I kind of believe in the Ravens when it comes to the playoffs. Just a little bit.
Yeah.
All right. Now, tier 8 through 6. Now we get into the teams that like really matter. This is the tier that I like to call they need everything to go right. Teams that are kind of in that Super Bowl mix a little bit, but they need everything to go right for them to win a Super Bowl. And that starts out with number 8, the Minnesota Vikings. They need Kirk Cousins to play out of his mind. They need Justin Jefferson to go for 200 yards. They need Dalvin Cook to run for 100 yards. They need those pass rushers to stay healthy and go crazy. Onyx wanted to make an appearance, I guess. Number 7 is the Dallas Cowboys. Kind of the same. If that offense goes crazy, if that defense goes crazy, they've had games where their offense and their defense have been absolutely dominant. If they do that, they're the best team in the league. It's just with the Cowboys, they don't do it very often. Number 6 is a team who I probably have higher than a lot of other people, but I believe in them. I believe in them if everything goes right. Hence why they're in this tier. Number 6 is the Los Angeles Chargers. Basically, with them, like Justin Herbert can go off at any time. He's one of the best quarterbacks in the league. And if he goes off, they have defensive talent. Joey Bosa, Khalil Mack, Derwin James, if he's not trying to take somebody's head off and get ejected. Yeah, if all those are firing on all cylinders, I think they can beat any team. And whenever they play the Chiefs, they play the Chiefs very, very close. That's one of the best teams in AFC. If everything goes right, they're one of the best teams in the league. Now, the last tier, these 5 teams. These are the top 5 teams in the league. Order them wherever you want to, but if these 5 teams aren't in your top 5, your top 5 is wrong. Just want to say that. Tier 5 through 1. This is called Fight for the Bowl. These are the 5 teams fighting for that Super Bowl. Number 5, San Francisco 49ers. Now, I've seen a lot of people have the Niners number 1. I think that's a little psychotic, but again, order these teams wherever you want, and I won't really fight you on it because all these teams are very, very good. Number 4 is the Kansas City Chiefs. I moved them up 1 spot. I think they were pretty impressive against the Seahawks, defensively at least, which was the big thing about their teams. That their defense is not great, but the defense looked really great against the Seahawks. But I can't put them above teams who have beat them. Number 3 is the team who's beat them, the Buffalo Bills. And then number 2, I'll just say it right now, is the Cincinnati Bengals. They're 2-3. They play each other this week, so we're going to see some disparity up there. But right now, I think the Bengals are slightly better than the Bills. The people in Vegas would disagree with me because for the Monday night game, the Bills are favored by 1 point. But I think the Bengals are slightly better. And then number 1 is the Philadelphia Eagles. I know they lost, but putting up a fight like that against a really good team with your backup quarterback, I think deserves to stay at that number 1 spot. They played really well. And obviously with Jalen Hurts, they've looked like the best team in football for the past 2 months. So I haven't found a reason to move them out of the top spot. If they lose to the Saints, Gardner Minshew or not, if they lose to the Saints, they won't be in the 1 spot. I will say that. But I don't see that happening.
That's pretty fair. I think if they lose to the Saints, whoever wins of Chiefs or Bengals Bills moves up.
Yeah, for sure.
All right. Well, I honestly don't have as much issue with those this week. I think that as far as it goes for me, that felt pretty good. San Francisco's weird because they had a rocky start, but they're looking really good now. So how do you rank them? Like, do you rank them based on where they're at now, or do you rank them based on where they've been or like records? So like, if I think of it, I'd put 49ers at, I'd put 49ers at, I'd go from 1 to 5. I do right now based on how I feel and what I see. Chiefs might be 1 or 2. Chiefs look very good. But Bengals are also 1 or 2 for me. I think Eagles are down to 3 because we've seen them. They're so reliant on quarterback. But again, if you take any of those quarterbacks out of those teams, besides Brock Purdy, so maybe that's why I think 49ers, although maybe not my pick for the Super Bowl winner, I put 49ers at 2, maybe 2 or 3. I think Bills are 5. So Bills are 5.
Interesting. Okay.
Bills have not been as good as I have wanted them to be. Bills are 5, Chiefs are 4. 49ers are 3, Bengals 2, Eagles 1. I think
Okay.
I'd say. We'll see how it goes.
On the Bills, I understand because they haven't really since the Jets game, the first Jets game, they haven't looked like they were supposed to.
They're top 5 team.
Yeah,
just-
but
They look the worst.
how I do my power rankings, at least when it comes to these top teams, is like again, like kind of how you said is like how I feel about them. I'm not worried about the Bills, honestly, because when it comes to playoff time to winning time, I still think they're one of the best teams in the league.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So
Okay. Well, do you want to see your calculated power rankings this week, Brian?
of course, because I think some things are going to change.
So the NFC West and the NFC South are neck and neck for dead last here.
I knew the AFC South was going to move up. I didn't know they were going to move up that much. Wow.
Yeah. So we still have the NFC East at the top.
Okay.
I can't remember what we were at last week, but AFC East is in second there. And that makes sense because you had the Bills and the Jets up somewhat high. AFC North, kind of starting to. I think the Bengals are really bringing that up, but the fact that the Ravens are still like you put them at
Yeah,
just outside of the they need everything to go right. So Ravens and Bengals are pulling this up. AFC West, NFC North are kind of neck and neck because you have teams like the Broncos, but you also have the Packers. So I don't know. I think NFC North all around is average better. I think AFC West just has Chargers and Chiefs who are really bringing up the average.
Yeah.
AFC South, you got the Jags, you got the Titans, you have no one else.
Yeah.
NFC West, interestingly enough, the fact that you didn't, and I like that you didn't base it off records because theoretically the Texans are the worst team in the league, but the Texans have played some good games. So I think that this here feels good, especially considering the Broncos, suck it, Connor, are 30. I almost would say the Broncos are the worst team in the league right now. The Colts have shown signs of life, especially in that Vikings game. So I think that is, something to consider. But honestly, like you said, what's it worth fighting over any of these guys because they are not making the Super Bowl. So, I think the most interesting part, your gap between the AFC and NFC has closed. So there was a huge gap earlier in the season. If we go back here, I saved it one time. We kind of looked at this. You had a lot of, I guess AFC was still leading, but your AFC was down in the 14s, NFC was in 17s. This has closed in a little bit. So I don't know if you're thinking that the NFC teams are looking a little better or the AFC teams are looking a little worse. But that's kind of the gist there. I don't know. I still look back when let's see. What was my least favorite one here? When you had the Saints. Hey, last one we did, the Saints were at number 30 in the pit of stinky. So that was pretty rough. I'm glad we've moved out of the pit of stinky. That's great. You have had okay. Your biggest jump for the Bengals was the weekend of Thanksgiving. You had them at 6th. And I think we during your birthday weekend, which we had to throw out, so we didn't get the ranking there. But between
I think I had them at 2 then too. I think.
Yeah. Okay. So they jumped up after whoever they beat that weekend. Yeah, pit of stinky is my favorite tier. There's anime nerds rise up for Jamal Williams in the NFC North. Yeah. True Super Bowl contenders. You had the Dolphins in here in mid-November at number 5, and the 49ers were just outside. And now we're starting to really kind of close in on who's going to be there and who's not. This weekend will decide a lot of teams. A lot of those Fox, this team has been eliminated. We're going to see some of those this weekend. We're going to see some clinches. And then we're going to see people like me who are running all the possible situations in which we could get in. The Raiders have a shot. I don't know if you've seen that, but 10 things have to happen and they're in. So, okay. Well, that was a great power rankings. I think that was my favorite one you've ever done because I agree with it the most. And you finally did my team some justice. Yes, we are at the bottom of the playoff, potentials, but
Hey,
we're in there.
They're at the top of the not eliminated yet tier, though.
Yes. So like I think we have the best shot at getting in for those that aren't favored to get in.
Yeah, that's what.
Because it's the least amount of things. So, all right. Well, I think now is the time, and I'm a little disappointed because we didn't. So we didn't do it last week. We took Christmas off. I didn't pick with you, and I think because I haven't picked with you, you've overtaken me in our competition.
Yeah, I had a really good last week. I went 13-3 last week.
Awesome. Well, let's see where you can go this week. All right. So we're gonna cover week 17. Gonna make our picks. This is an interesting one because of New Year's Day and stuff like that, and because of the way that the season goes. We're gonna start having games on Saturdays, which is dope. So a whole weekend of football played on December 29th, 30th, 31st, and January 2nd. Or no, 29th is Thursday.
Yeah, not this
Thursday.
Saturday, because this Saturday is college football, because the college football playoff starts this week.
Oh yeah, that's right.
I believe next week it'll be like that.
Next week I think it's Saturday. Yeah. That's right. College football, which I will also be watching for fun.
Yes, I'm actually pretty. This is the NFL podcast, but I'm very interested on that college football playoff.
Okay, so first matchup this Thursday, actually interesting one. Cowboys at the Titans. Who you got?
I'm gonna go Cowboys. I'm a little interested to pick Titans even without Tannehill, just because the Cowboys are the Cowboys. But I'm gonna go Cowboys.
I got Cowboys too. I think that with the loss that they dealt the Eagles this week, they're looking to win out because they have a shot at number one if they can win out, I think.
Yeah.
So for them, why not? And Jerry's pushing it. So
Oh, yeah.
All right. Clash of two teams who don't fucking matter. Two birds who no one gives a shit about. Cardinals and Falcons. I got Falcons.
Yeah, I'm gonna go Falcons. It doesn't really matter, but I'll go Falcons.
Bears at Lions.
There's Lions. I'm gonna go Lions.
I also got Lions. Lions have everything to play for. Bears just don't want to lose, but Dan Campbell's gonna bite their kneecaps, man.
Yeah, and it's the same for this next game. The Chiefs, Broncos. The Chiefs have a lot to play for. The Broncos have nothing to play for. I'm going Chiefs.
I was almost gonna go to that game with my brother, and I'm so glad we decided not to. All right. Here's a divisional rivalry, which is kind of age old, and they always get the best of this team. So Dolphins at the Patriots.
Yeah.
Tom Brady used to be really weak to the Dolphins.
Yeah. Honestly, I don't know who I'm picking yet. I'm still kind of thinking about it. I want to go Dolphins, but I'm going to go Patriots.
I also have Patriots here. It's cold. Tua's not in. There's no way Tua's in. Teddy's good, but I think the Pats want it. Mac Jones will kick somebody in the nuts. All right. Colts at Giants. I got Giants here. Giants can still well make it into the playoffs, and they could be one of 3 NFC East teams to do so, depending on Commanders' performance. So,
also
actually 4. Yeah, 3 or 4.
In this game, I'm really rooting for a tie. I want to see 2 teams with 2 ties. I feel like that would be pretty fun. So I'm rooting for a tie.
Okay, that's weird, but all right. Saints Eagles. Ooh, head says Eagles, heart says Saints.
I don't want to pick the Saints. I want to. I really do. I'm doing it. I'm going to pick the Saints. Why not? I still need the Saints to win that division for my pick. So
I think we can surprise them. I think this will be a big upset this weekend. Hang on, let me see something here. Let me see what the line is for that. I kind of want to know.
It's probably going to be huge.
Eagles are favored by 6.5.
Wow. Okay. That's interesting.
It means Vegas is thinking that Saints are going to keep this a little closer than they thought. So, Panthers at Buccaneers.
I'm going to go Panthers.
I want Panthers, so I'll go Panthers.
Browns, Commanders.
If Commanders win this, they can still be in the fight for a playoff spot.
Yeah, I'm going to go Browns.
I think it's possible for all 4 NFC East teams to go based on how shitty the South is.
But I want the Packers to make the playoffs. I need the Commanders to lose a game. So I'm going to go Browns.
I'm going Commanders because fuck the Packers, dude. All right.
Jags, Texans. I will go Jags, even though the Texans kind of have had the Jags number the past couple of years. But this is different. Trevor Lawrence.
49ers, Raiders. This will be a landslide of defense here. 49ers.
I'm with the Niners.
That's locked up. They've got
I don't,
the
I don't
they
see
have
how they're
the
winning the ball on them.
they have the NFC West locked up. They have to.
Yeah, I think so. I think they do.
Jets at Seahawks.
Oof.
I am not watching that game.
Yeah, I'm gonna go Jets, but
I got
not
Seahawks. I have a good feeling about it. I don't know.
all right.
67% of people are picking Seahawks.
Interesting.
Uh,
All right, one of the games of the week. I feel like
this will absolutely be a
Packers.
game to watch. Vikings at Packers.
I'm gonna go Packers.
I got Vikings. Nothing would make the Vikings feel better than to stop the Packers' playoff chances.
Oh yeah, that's for sure.
So the Vikings are already in. They're not. The Vikings are in contention as well for the 1 seed.
Yep, they are.
So they want the
But
1 seed.
Yeah.
It's in the same. It's in Lambeau, but that doesn't really make too much difference because it's fucking cold and well, I guess US Bank is a dome though, isn't it?
Is it?
I think it is.
I have
Either
no
way,
idea.
they live in Minnesota. They're not afraid of practicing in the cold. I don't think it's going to phase them. Plus, this is not at prime time, so Kirk Cousins will be fine, presumably.
Some reason. Rams Chargers.
Chargers.
Yeah, I'm gonna go Chargers.
Actually, though, here's the thing. Based on how well Baker's playing, this could be a very good game. And I'm
Yeah.
glad that they put it where it is because this actually might be kind of fun. And
I could definitely
who's-
see the Rams winning this.
the weird thing is it's in SoFi. It's kind of like
Yeah.
if the Jets ever play the Giants, like who hosts,
Yeah.
like in this case, it'll be Chargers, but like home for LA as well. So
I mean, neither of these teams really have fans, so
No.
doesn't really matter.
I'll pick
Steelers- Oh, you haven't picked yet. Go ahead.
I'll pick Rams.
Okay, interesting.
I think it could be fun to see the Rams win this one. Steelers, Ravens, don't care about either. I'll go Ravens because they care more.
Yeah, I'm gonna go Ravens. Just because I think Lamar will be back. If Lamar is not back, I honestly might go Steelers, but I think Lamar will be back.
It's crazy to me how the Ravens are still 10-5.
Yeah, they're squeaking out some of these games.
Shitty
game
Sunday night
of the
matchup.
week.
This should be the Sunday night game. I'm pissed that it's not because it would have been great, but I'm glad it's on Monday.
Yeah, I'm
Most of
happier
the
it's on Monday than Sunday.
Bills coming to the Bengals.
Yeah, I'm gonna go Bengals. This is very subject to change, but I will go Bengals.
I also got Bengals actually here.
Interesting.
I
I think the Bengals are a better team right now.
I do too.
Very slightly.
Until Josh Allen kind of gets out of this funk that he's been in, Joe Burrow's got it.
Yeah.
I think
And,
that
like,
wraps it up for us.
With all this like Josh Allen talk at the beginning of the year, Joe Burrow's played better than Josh Allen this year.
He has.
Yeah.
Well,
I think that's gonna do it.
yeah, we started getting this accelerated format, and I think it's really working for us content wise. So
Yeah.
let us know what you think down in the comments. If you like the shorter episodes, if you want something longer, obviously, we only have a couple weeks left. We're gonna do some stuff in the playoffs, I think, Brian, but
Wait for the playoffs. Ooh.
I can imagine it'll be a little different. We won't quite have a power rankings anymore because we'll see what's going on, but
we'll be more in depth with the playoff games when the playoffs get here. So
talk about each of them, and we'll probably have some sort of fun. Like I would love to see Brian's quarterback tier or power rankings, or Brian's playoff quarterback tiers, or something like that.
Also,
give me your power rankings of quarterbacks in playoffs.
Also, tune in for either next week or the week after. Connor for sure will be eating hot wings because he got his hot take wrong this year. I will most likely be doing it as well because my hot take, I believe, was the Saints winning the division.
What was my hot take?
I don't know. You have to ask Connor. Connor has all of them written down, but me and Connor will most likely be eating hot wings in the next couple of episodes.
What was Connor's take?
Connor's was the Seahawks like sweeping somebody in the division, I think.
I think it was the Saints winning the division as well.
That was mine.
That had to have been mine too. I don't know what I would have said.
Well,
I hope mine was that the Broncos suck because damn, I would have been right. So, all right. Well,
we do know one thing. Kyle, even though he's not really here, his hot take was amazing because his hot take was the Vikings winning the division and the Packers missing the playoffs.
Dude, remember when we looked at him and we were like, "You were fucking stupid."
Yeah, I was
Damn.
very adamant on like Kyle, you're dumb.
Well, I know he's not been here, but like we may have to eat some shit for that one because
No,
Kyle
I
is
told him.
definitely onto something.
I told him if he comes back to the podcast, he's not allowed to talk about his hot take.
He is, dude. Like
No.
that's the whole point. Like
Fuck him.
if he was right, like, but obviously, like I'd bet he doesn't come on. Like we don't know where he is. We haven't heard from him. Kyle, if you're out there, like call
Kyle,
us.
we
We
miss
miss
you.
you. All right. Well, this has been a good episode.
Leave
Hope you guys
likes.
enjoy the week 17 lineup. I know we will. Happy New Year to you. This is our last episode in 2022. We'll see you next year.
Oh God, no.
And any final things for them, Brian, before we send them off?
Nah, just thanks for tuning in. Leave likes, subscribe if you're new. Please leave a comment. Tell us what you want to change, what you liked.
Yeah. We'll answer every comment.
Everyone.
We haven't gotten many yet, but when we get some, we're gonna answer them.
Every single one.
All 5. All right. Have a good week, guys. We'll see you later.
Yes, sir.